come on. You guys waited like 20 minutes yesterday because the stream was late. You can wait 2.
Oh, yeah. Aww.
Ladies and gentlemen, we should be coming to you live with another weekly, daily Wednesdays. Getting ready in the pre-show. Bringing you happiness, joy, and a kaleidoscope of nightmares for your midweek
We're live.
break.
We are live. The boops.
What's
And we
going
have
on,
sound.
beautiful people? Hi.
Hello, Arthur.
Hello, Artherin and Chi and Linux Ganuru.
Yeah, unlike Pedro, I'm on time.
Oh, that was
Look.
very rare.
I did not prepare for unforeseen consequences, so that's
Yeah.
on me.
No, that's really the whole thing. We're reliable with time, so
Yes.
like I know if a stream's delayed, there's usually a reason for it.
Yeah.
Pedro locked himself in the bathroom.
No, I just had this monitor repurposed as the Optiplex monitor so I could look at what was going on. And just accessing the like the web front end on this box is like, okay, you can do this. You can get this up and running. It's like, oh crap, I'm already 20 minutes late. Okay.
Is a thing.
Yeah, everyone. Steven put penguin eyes on the back of my chair, but I don't think it's in the shot right now. Let's see.
It's in the shot, Jill. No, it's not.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know why? Because I've got Jitsi minimized. You know, sometimes it cuts it off. So that's what happened. Okay.
If you're in Discord,
Yeah.
you can see we are transporting audio bits over Ethernet. So if anything goes haywire, timings are a little off, but I'm not sticking the audio timings in just yet because I'm gonna get fancy on a budget if this works. That's how we do
Yeah.
at LGC. Fancy on a budget.
Yeah. That's
Wait,
one thing
fire?
about
What?
Jitsi is it doesn't minimize well. It always cuts
What are you on
off.
about, Linux Nero?
He's saying things, so you'll be like, "Hey, what are you on about, Linux?" And he's like, "Oh, nothing. You?"
Yeah, it still sounds fine on the tubes.
No,
Oh yeah, there's my eyes.
there's no issue.
Artherin, was that your first popular YouTube comment? Because I remember getting like 5,000 plus ones on Google Plus when the Google Plus and YouTube comments
Oh, yeah.
were a single thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When they did The Martian, I left a comment. I was like, "Why do people keep leaving Matt Damon in space?" And I quit counting at 100,000. I finally
see.
that is how I discovered you could mute alerts.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't live like
Yeah.
this.
It's like I had 5,000 because of the Capaldi Doctor series trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Because, oh great, more Clara. Because everyone was clamoring for more Clara. And
Yeah.
You
it's like
say that.
5,000 upvotes.
You say that, and there's already rumors that Clara's coming back.
Yeah.
I mean, Maisie Williams, sure, she's immortal, right? But Clara, really?
Well, it's good that you don't comment often on YouTube because this is a very real thing that I have to weigh out anytime I'm replying to a comment. Is usually this is the type of person that leaves YouTube comments. And that's never a bad thing. Some people are like, "Hey, man, that's a, whatever." But you know the type of people I'm talking about. They're the ones that'll show up asking completely. My favorite one that you're tech support.
Well, if you're doing how-to videos, I guess there's an expectation there.
Not really. It's like, if you follow this video with exactly what's outlined in it, it'll work. I actually even brought video evidence. Like, well, I'm trying it with this and this other hardware, so how do I don't know. I don't have that. When you want to send it to me, I might take a look.
Hello, Steve Husband. Yes, you should have modded this chair a long time ago. Everyone says it does look like a penguin, so he put the eyes on it, but I'm not going to be using this chair for much longer.
Don't worry.
Husband.
Steve can put eyes on the new chair, too. Don't worry.
Yes, he can just take these ones and put it on.
Steve went all out. That looks like fancy Scotch tape.
Yeah. Because Velcro pads are so last season.
It does look like Pingu, huh, Arthurian? Newt Newt! Yeah, Arthurian was one of the first people to notice that. It kind of looked like a penguin.
I like the Pengu ice cream. For some reason, that just popped into my head. It's like, yeah, that was an ice cream that you just ate off the thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was nice.
Never had ice cream. I'm good.
Yeah, dude, there's a lot of dairy involved.
Sugar.
Yeah.
And sugar.
Ugh.
Hi, Massavoni. Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, I don't really like the stupidly sweet ice cream, but like salted caramel.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites too, Pedro.
Yeah.
Well, you're in the right. I mean, if you like sweets, man, Britannia's a good place to hang out.
Oh yeah.
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 Like the sugar.
I went to the doctor when I registered for the new surgery. I went to have my initial consultation, and she's like, "Okay, step on the scales there so we can take your weight." It's like, "Oh, okay, I still weigh 90 kilos.
Mm-hmm.
Cool." And I've been eating a lot of crap.
No, that's good. I'm like Skinner or salty Jill.
Don't like salt either. Like added salt?
not-
I don't have a salt shaker.
Yeah, we don't use that either. Occasionally, I
Cooking with salt, yes.
Yeah.
After the fact, like I see some people do. No. No.
Sometimes I do crave chips just because I don't eat that much salt, or I try not to. I don't add any extra in anything. Arthur, Pingu, Newt Newt.
Looks like something that needs to be stepped on.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can find the ice cream ones.
Yeah, those were good.
There it is.
You can do it. Come on.
Yes.
Ah, there, yes.
Because they came with different hats. So I basically had one of each for like 5 years.
You said they came with different hats, and my immediate thought was like, so they could sell more. And
Yes. Actually, the ice cream was really good. But
that was
yeah,
ice
I had a
cream?
lot of Pingu heads lying around with different hats on them
Aw,
for a while
so
till my mom
cute.
went, "This is going in the bin." Okay.
good mom.
Aw.
Yeah, every now and
such-
then my mom was like, "Okay, we're cleaning out your room, but we have to." Yes. Damn it.
Hey, Rick and Morty, November.
Mm-hmm.
Happy about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually.
Did they say how long
Finally,
the season would be?
It's been a
How
while.
many episodes?
Oh man, maybe they'll Sherlock it.
Yeah, because I didn't see that.
Get 3. Or Game of Thrones it. We'll just cut it in half and split it over 2 years.
Yeah, that last episode could have been like half an hour shorter.
You know, no spoilers. No one don't worry about bailing. But yeah, I fast food forwarded through a lot of the here's giant slow panning shots of stuff that doesn't add to the story.
And even like the characters, there were so many just still shots of characters standing around. Really?
Well,
So Steve Husband had a statement. He's been this morning. He was all over the place with me in my chair and everything. So I have his JPL mug, and he said wanted me to tell everyone, in an effort to reduce the amount of coffee cups, Steve Husband has instituted a dual acronym policy. Henceforth, JPL will mean Jill Penguin Love and revert back to Jet Propulsion Laboratory when used by others. So saith the Mug Master. Steve.
See, that's when you know you clearly have too many mugs, because Steve had to declare himself the Mug Master.
Yeah.
You gotta understand, man. Pedro, hoarding is a disease. You shouldn't make fun of people.
Yeah.
And acronyms are PITA.
Yes, laptops. And my shirts, do you know I've only gone through, I've already done the show for over a year, and I've only used a third of my shirts.
Jill, I don't have the surprised Pikachu image to pull up right now, but that...
Oh.
I'm wearing an old Red Hat shirt, actually.
I'm wearing a shirt with red embroidering around the sleeves for whatever reason.
Nice.
Yeah, no, all my shirts have their sleeves rolled up. It could be winter, but all the sleeves are rolled up. In case of point. Oh, it's not there anymore. Never mind. I was gonna grab it, but no, that's just my towel.
I don't have anything for that. I tried, Pedro. My brain's just let him have that one.
Hey, Pennywise. Free Jack. Yay, free Jack.
I don't have any collections. I was thinking about that when I was listening. I was like, this is my toaster collection. It's not the weirdest. Well, I have my canned meat collection, but that... outside of that, I just have normal stuff.
Do you have any that are massively out of date? There's Ashens up in Norwich. He'll take
all
just
out
about
of
everything.
date. Well, I don't know. I'm sure some of them are just have the infinity symbol.
It's it has no liquids in it. Good luck.
I have a can of tactical bacon.
Shelf-stable, massively dried bacon. Yes.
I'm just saying, man. Zombie apocalypse. I could probably trade that for some ammo.
Oh, yeah.
Wait 2 or 3 years where people are like, man, remember bacon? And I was like, oh.
I have this can.
Right.
You give me that crate of ammo and you can have it.
Speaking of kernels, my kernel is currently 5.11 because I built that last night with preemptive kernel. Low latency. It's a kernel.
Okay, I think I'm gonna go use the restroom real quick.
That's what I was waiting on.
Hey!
Well, I didn't want to say, hey, it's time to go, and...
Yeah, last time I compiled the kernel was on the cheapo Lenovo laptop, because it's the brainfuck scheduler. It actually does have some performance improvements because it speeds some things up, and I wanted the Zen kernel because it's also built with some performance improvements already. So it's okay, Zen kernel, brainfuck scheduler, let's go.
Yeah, I had to do the low latency kernel period. If you're doing anything with Jack, you just have to do that. And Fedora, they like to pretend that, well, they don't want people doing audio production. It's the only thing that I can logically think. Like, no. Which, it's not that big a deal. And it's a good chance because, you know, any kernel that you get out of box is just compiled for generic x86 64.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, let's do the AMD optimizations for that, and let's do the preempt, and let's go ahead and set the clock at 1,000 megahertz, and just some basic tuning. And it'd been a while since I built a kernel, because I straight up forgot to do the make modules install. And rebooted.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute. Oh. Okay. Right. We gotta do that.
Yeah, no, bless that and curses menu. Seriously.
I like that. It's like, yep, that's not there. Then I had to go to war with Negativo. I just had to ditch that nonsense with the NVIDIA drivers because it couldn't figure out that, like, how to CUDA. Like,
Really?
yeah, they did some update like a day or two ago that it was trying to install an older, it's right when not the drivers that came out yesterday, but the ones that were previous before that, which most people wouldn't notice because a sane person doesn't need CUDA on their box. And it was just flipping out, and it wasn't, I don't know exactly. I finally, after trying to get it uninstalled and moving to, like, maybe I'll try this other version. And the dependency is like, you know what? I want run level 3. Look at this. Watch this. That works. Done. And the world was a better place.
Yeah. Though kudos to the guy. He maintains the the Steam build that he has on the Steam repo.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually very, very nice. And the multimedia repo that it has, which has Handbrake compiled with VA API and some other stuff, it was very, very helpful back in the day. I actually haven't used that particular repo since I put Solus on this box.
And I rebuilt Jack from the source just because. It was like, just in case, Jordan, if you're listening, sweetheart, just go ahead and build a low latency kernel. You're going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
Trust me. But tease. Yeah, California is having internet problems.
Yeah.
Either that or California is really blurry. Teen Head. We're gonna do that, what's that turn-based game this week that I haven't looked at yet?
Fell Seal.
That thing.
Arbiters something.
I'm looking forward to not liking
Seal
it.
Fell... yeah. It's this guy,
That's exactly what I was thinking when watching Jordan play it. I was like, this is a skin pack for that. This Gaia kind of had me because it had Japana humor in it. Like,
Yeah.
all right, this is just unhinged in its own special way.
Yeah, no, with this one they clearly went more Final Fantasy Tactics.
Wouldn't know.
Yeah. Played a lot of that on my PSP. A lot. It's like if you saw me with my PSP, I was either playing Pokemans on one of the Game Boy emulators, or Final Fantasy Tactics.
I had a couple of them. I had the TurboGrafx 16 portable, but I only had like 2 games for that. I had the Game Game Gear, the Sega one, not the 16-bit one, but the I had like Star Wars for that, and that thing was useless. It was more useless than the TurboGrafx 16 one. No battery life. And the Game Boy, the only game I played on that a lot was like Mega Man. And that Mario Brothers, that non-canon. Where there were bees and mummies.
Because it was basically DuckTales, but with Mario.
That's the most out of place Mario game when you, because I watched like a retrospective of it. I was like, yeah, right? That had nothing to do.
Yeah, I watched the Game Grumps play the CDI Zelda games. And it's like, oh yeah, I played the CDI, like the very first one that came out. It's like, yep, yeah, it was terrible. And I had the presentation controller. I didn't have like the actual game controller one. So it's like, oh, this is annoying.
I didn't. No, I don't think I've ever used a CDI. Those were actually big in Portugal. As big as you could.
Yeah. At the time, it was like
comparatively.
Philips, Nintendo, and Sega. That was it.
Oh, Nintendo, you messed up with Philips. You created Sony PlayStation.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they did.
It's like, what's that? You made a CD add-on for the, what was it, the SNES?
That's what they were working together. And like at the 11th hour, Nintendo's like, no, we're going to work with Philips. And Sony's like, but we've already made all this stuff. All right, fine. PlayStation
Okay, we'll
1.
just build a console around it. There.
But it doesn't matter. Soon we'll all have our Stadia boxes and we'll forget the horrible past.
Yeah. Oh, Massivoni, you had the micro SD to memory card adapter. Yeah, no. I had to use those stupid memory card plus. I remember the 16 gigabyte one at the time cost me like 70 euros or 80 euros. It was massively overpriced.
In a very reduced bit rate for Jill. She's a very 8-bit.
Want me to exit and go back in again?
We'll give you a refresh on this end. We'll see what happens.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, give me just a sec so I can get a beer.
Okay.
Amstrad.
Ah, yes.
Never had a VIC 20. CPC. Amstrads were jock.
Yeah, they were.
They weren't as specky though. You're beautiful, Pedro.
Yeah, Pedro, you look nice.
There.
Yeah. Are you done doing your hair? What shampoo company is paying you?
Oh, your hair looks nice, Pedro.
No, I showered earlier and my hair immediately after I shower, it's...
Poof.
Yep. I get that occasionally.
Frizz.
It eventually settles down. It just takes a couple hours.
It thinks about it and I'm like, you know what? Where's your tie? I can fix this.
Yeah, no, I had a bunch of hair ties and Nori took them all.
I don't think I could run out of hair ties. Those are strategically placed around the house. All right. My turn, and we'll get on it. We'll do a show.
Okay.
Yes. I got it for as a natural God's gift to nature hair flow. But there was no wind going on. Not really. If I don't shower regularly, my my hair gets super oily, like super
Yeah.
oily. Yeah, Nori's been threatening me to. She's like, "We need to cut your hair." Do we really? Do we though? Nowhere near as
Pray-
pretty or
Aw.
as rich.
Yeah, I guess it's definitely time for me a haircut. My hair's looking a little ragamuffin.
You have short hair, Jill.
Yeah. And it starts to get a little, like, poofy. It's getting poofy.
Yeah, my hair doesn't get poofy. It's just a little bit stupid sometimes, but after it's settled down, it's all just droopy.
Linda. Oh my goodness, that was fun. Rainbow bright. I used to love Rainbow Brights. I think I still have one. The original one. I still have mine from the 70s. Pretty good.
I did see the roast of Linus Sebastian Pennywise because someone at work is like, "Oh yeah, there's like this video of an hour and a half of people making fun of Linus." It's like,
Yeah.
okay, including his wife. Okay.
I haven't watched it. Was it fun?
There are a few zingers in there. It's like, ooh. Oh.
Oh my god. If we had our community do a roast of us all. Pedro. Oh boy.
Have you not seen the Saturday show? That's the
Yes,
whole
I know.
thing.
That is, it's all roasting. We gotta get Ven though. Yes. Saturday is the
and-
roasting show.
Yeah, they had one of the guys that used to work with Linus at NCIX, and now he works for Corsair. It's like, and everyone's like, "Who the hell are you? Why are you here?" And then he comes on and it's just like lays Linus to waste. It's like, oh, he had some really good ones.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, he got to experience Linus transitioning to independence.
Mhm.
Yeah, I remember watching him on NCIX.
All right. Think we are together. Are we together?
Yes.
Are we a cohesive unit? That's optimism,
Heavy.
sweetheart.
Heavy air quotes around that.
I like your optimism. That's all I'm saying. By our powers combined, air quotes.
By our powers combined. Yeah, screw you guys.
All right. Let's tap that record button, fam.
Yes.
Okay.
massive conflicting impulses.
Yeah.
We will do this, Pedro. I'm gonna get you to give me a clap for fun and hang on. Let me get the inputs. Go for it. Okay, give me one up high. Thank you. As fun as it is to play around with like AV syncing videos, that is the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can get better timings. All right. All right. Paracells. I might kind of disappear from the show if I have to.
Okay.
Just letting everyone know.
Okay.
Let me check the shots right quick. Everyone's lined up pretty good. All right. And welcome back to Linux Weekly, daily Wednesdays, where we can sit back, relax, take that midweek break, and talk about all the fun things going on in the world of Linux. I'm Vin. That is Jill and Juan Pedro Mateus.
Hello.
Joining us with you live. Getting to talk about the fun stuff. What's going on, everyone? Jill, you've been watching a lot of keynotes.
Oh yeah, I think I've watched all of them now at the Red Hat Summit in Boston, and it was a very electrifying atmosphere. It was a really looked like a really fun convention, and I'm considering going next year.
That should be fun. Pedro, did you adopt any new laptops?
I did not. I did, however, get to play around with some Android and some Lineage OS. Yes, it was a bit of a thing getting Lineage OS on this particular Huawei P8 Lite, because for a moment there, I was stuck in a circle of nope, because in order to get the code to unload the unlock the bootloader, I had to have root because the code was stored in a hidden away partition. And in order to get that, I had to have custom recovery installed. But in order to get that, I had to have an unlocked bootloader. So yeah, just getting out of that initial loop was a thing all of its own.
Oh boy.
I want you to record yourself doing that blindfolded, and I'll be impressed.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't read the XDA forums if I was blindfolded.
Hard mode, man. Hard mode. I've been doing a lot of stuff. My adventure started after we got the show together on Sunday and got that pushed out to create a dedicated jack box, a jack audio box, a butter robot. That was fun. And since I didn't realize until the end of that experiment that I sent my audio interface that I was planning on using to Canada, I was like, right, I did that. So I've been playing around with the jack networking. And so this is kind of a smoke test. We have the audio coming through the router right now, which is kind of dodgy, but I'll do a direct link if everything flies back from the interface from the two boxes. It seems to be working, but I'm definitely going to throw like some retired enterprise hardware in there because those SPF cards are cheap. And hook these two up. And I just want to give a shout out to X Windows, man, because I'm pulling up the Audur and the Matrix grid and all that with just X11 forwarding, and it's working brilliantly. Yay. Like, this is the one thing I thought I was going to have to fight with. Didn't have to fight with it. Everything else I had to fight with. Just not this. So I'll take that. But we need not to panic because IBM is not going to destroy Red Hat as we know it.
Yeah. Yeah. So IBM CEO Ginny Rometty stated once again that Red Hat would remain independent as promised, you know, despite the acquisition of IBM and Red Hat, that they are going to keep Red Hat, let them do what they do best. And, you know, IBM has always been a great steward to open source and was one of the first companies to embrace Linux with using Apache in 1998. And they invested $1 billion in Red Hat in 1999. So that was really amazing that early on in the evolution of Linux. And I actually enjoyed watching many of the keynotes at last week's Red Hat Summit in Boston. And Ginny Rometty keynote with Red Hat CEO Jim Whitehurst was one of the highlights. And during this keynote, Ginny, during the keynote, talked about the importance of an ecosystem to drive innovation, that open governance in open source is vital. And she quotes, "If you're going to take, you have to give." And that Red Hat has built a wonderful culture about open. And there were lots of cheers in the audience over those comments. So that was very, very important. And
Yeah.
don't worry.
Yeah, allowing the company you just purchased to keep doing what they're doing and what made them profitable in the first place.
Yeah.
Probably a very good idea. I think Electronic Arts, for one, would probably appreciate that lesson. Yeah.
Yes.
My first thought to that is don't panic, because IBM didn't buy Red Hat to start messing with it immediately.
Yeah.
I don't think, we're in any immediate worry of that. But, hey, man, the CEO has said everything's cool, be like the Fonz. And we all know that CEOs are beacons of honesty and trust. So,
now, to be fair,
Yeah.
IBM's a pretty big company, and they've been doing a very good job of staying out of the news for many, many years.
Yeah.
Basically, they got into the news because they bought Red Hat. That's about it. But that's a good sign. You don't have, a Randy Pitchford as a CEO of the company.
we'll have to see, man. Everything seems to be, pretty much business as usual. And I think it'll stay like that. IBM and Red Hat have worked together for a long time.
For
We've definitely
years.
talked about that.
Yeah.
I don't think there's much to worry about, but, I know there's definitely people. IBM's been around for 100 years, and they've not been good stewards when, basically any company that has a monopoly or anything on lockdown to the level, like, say, Microsoft did in the 90s or IBM in the 80s or anything like that. There are people that just will not do business with IBM.
Yeah, no, and it's there was a lot of resentment back in the day when they sold off the laptop bits to Lenovo. And honestly, I think Lenovo has actually been doing a very good job, because as someone who has an X230 and an X240 and one of the cheapo IdeaPad ones, they did a good job. And as far as IBM is concerned, buying Red Hat was a very smart move. It's like enterprise, a hardware provider, buying a software provider. It's like, yes, that's just, match made in heaven. So yeah, no, kudos to Ginny Rometty for letting Red Hat do their own thing.
Yeah, everything I've read about her, she seems like a very chill CEO. So
yeah, she's like, okay, I have a business, I want it to be successful, and that's it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
100% down with that. Quick point. Little thing we want to throw in, or throw this into our show notes if I can get to the right
It's a Steam
update. No, all my video boards switched around too. Linux kernels prior to 5.8. You might have noticed earlier this week that your distribution is like, yo, you need a new kernel. Like, what does it do?
Now.
It fixes a remote code execution. That was, just a quick note. Update your business. You wanted to get that taken care of. It's also worth a mention that, isn't there a new fancy Intel flaw?
Yeah, there is. There was a new speculative execution, 4 new speculative execution CVEs that Intel released earlier yesterday. And it's it's basically more Spectre. It's more speculative execution. And Intel released a paper that in no uncertain terms said you should disable hyperthreading because, hey, that's where the vulnerability lies, or at least it worsens it considerably.
What do you think at this point that like Intel should? I'm really surprised they're not facing a class action lawsuit. Because
they will.
You can't. Now, honestly, for the home user, maybe that's not going to be an issue. Leave hyperthreading on, but I would definitely use them. I was like, hey man, I bought this because of this feature and can't really use it right now.
And as it turns out, there are a lot of Xeons out there with hyper-threading, running a lot of very powerful machines, running a lot of very mission-critical servers. So, yeah. But the kernel issue, as it turns out, it wasn't as bad as it may seem initially. Now, yes, it is a severe vulnerability. The CVE rating as 8.1 in severity, but when it comes to exploitability, it only has a score of 2.2 because it's actually very hard to get that particular race condition to happen. So yeah, it's not, major security flaw in the Linux kernel like some outlets were reporting, but it is something to be aware of, and it's already been fixed. If you're running 5.1 already, you're good.
Right. Okay. Good to know. Up next, what do we have? An app store.
app
Because,
images.
hey man, XKCD 927. It needs to be a thing. What do we have? This is linuxappstore.io, and it's a front end to App Image Hub, FlatHub, Snapcraft, and it's searchable. I mean, you can just go through your app images, Flatpaks, what have you. If you really want to call it a store, okay. I mean, it just takes you directly to, wherever you would be going, like Snapcraft and the lot. But I do like that you can search through it. However, when you are going through it, you do a search, it doesn't tell you, like you get your result, it doesn't tell you if it's a Flatpak, app image, or a snap.
They have a little icon in the corner.
It's a little
Yeah.
bottom left.
So,
And it's hard to see, yes.
Here's another thing. I couldn't get it to show me. I searched around, just querying it. I was like, there has to be at least one package in here that has a Flatpak, an app image, or snap, or some mix of that. I couldn't find one.
VLC.
VLC. Okay, it does do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Snapcraft.io is a very good idea, but honestly, what I wouldn't be opposed to is having a plugin that you can.
But
Yeah, you
I would like to address my statement.
You picked a specific one. Go back to
Nope,
the
I just
top
typed
one.
in VLC. That's all I did.
No, earlier you picked one of the categories. Just go back to the top.
Yeah,
category.
you're not in the. You got to be in the all section.
Okay, now search for VLC again.
Hey.
There you go. Yeah, and I wouldn't be opposed to having a plugin for like this particular store or any of the stores that aggregate all these snap packages and all the flat packs and all of the app images into one, as for Discover, Gnome Software, Synaptic, DNF Agora. Literally any of those, just have a plugin that lets you install one of the universal packages. Just, come on, or all of them.
Yeah.
Because it's really not that hard at this point. Come on.
Yeah, Pedro and I.
Go ahead.
I was just reiterating. I thought that was an excellent idea that Pedro had. And yeah, this needs to be integrated into all the software centers. The Ubuntu GNOME Software Center only shows repository apps and snaps, and the GNOME Software app on Fedora only shows repository apps and FlatHub apps. And what was also great is I actually first tried it on my phone, and the searches work great on desktop and mobile. And like Ven did for VLC, when I did a search for the GIMP, it came up with the app image and Snap Apps version and linked to the appropriate websites to download them via App Image Hub and Snapcraft.io.
Yep.
Yeah, basically the only UI thing I would have, even if you have it limited as to what I did, there you go, user error right there, is say I was like, oh, okay, snap, but I'm doing a search, maybe show all available.
Yeah.
By default, because that could be easily
It
missed.
is by default. By default, it does show all of them.
I'm
It's
just saying
that
if I'm
you even
drill down-
mouse over, yeah.
Yeah. And it should have the text underneath it instead of just the little icon in the corner.
That's a thing. I like options.
Yes.
But bad news, everyone. You got to get rid of it.
Oh no!
It's going away. Oh no. Finally, appreciate Legacy IDE in the kernel. It's long overdue. Please pull. Thanks a lot. Peace out. You're cool. You're cool. You're cool. Expletive deleted. You're cool. That's pretty much it. I really wanted to go out and get the pitchfork and be like, woo. Then I looked around the house. And outside of a very, very ancient security recorder, which I did dig up, which I don't even know if it works. I don't have anything in the house with an IDE drive, period. And it's been a long time. Like, I was thinking maybe a CD-ROM drive or a DVD drive. No,
No.
nothing. But
I have the one laptop, the
you,
T42.
okay. So,
Yeah,
Yeah.
the T42 still has like desktop IDE,
mhm.
but I'm very much looking forward to someone, creating a separate package that introduces that functionality if need be. But yeah, by all means, get rid of it in the kernel. Yeah.
It doesn't really need to be around. I mean, I went digging. Jill's going to talk on it a bit more, but WD stopped making IDE drives in 2013, and Seagate way before that.
Yeah.
So it's not like you can pick up a new one. So I want to know if anybody could actually get mad about this, and I don't see how.
Aw.
Unless your business revolves around legacy systems. Yeah. No.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, as you can see behind me, I have hundreds of vintage old computers with IDE drives in them. But I use, older versions of Linux for those. But, SATA has been around since the year 2000 and is almost 20 years old. If you can believe that, it's amazing. So it makes sense that the older IDE interface gets deprecated from the Linux kernel. And David Miller is the maintainer for the IDE subsystem in the Linux kernel, as well as the networking system and Spark implementation. And he's talked about getting rid of some of the Spark support as well in the past. So, yeah, for newer computers, this makes sense.
Ditching Spark as a whole, that's a flame war waiting to happen.
Yeah, it is.
There's a group of very dedicated people out there.
Oh yeah, I've got a Spark behind me, so
Something that would
I don't want that to
terrify
happen.
both of you is how much Spark still hides in corners in Enterprise.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
very-
It's still.
But
Yeah.
no, we're talking about Spark, which I still do contract work with a lot of this. It's fiber channel. It's not
Yeah.
IDE. I mean, you might run
Yeah.
into SCSI.
Exactly. It's SCSI, which is well
Yeah.
supported in Linux.
Although there were talks of dropping SCSI, but as it turns out, the SATA drivers are built on top of the SCSI functionality,
Exactly.
so can't
Yeah.
get rid of that.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. Pedro, Kwin is getting a fix. It's getting better.
It's not a
Ish.
fix, it's a fork. It's the Kwin low latency. It's a separate project. It's available on GitHub. You can build it, you can try it, you can install it. In fact, Artherin in Chat Realm decided to install it and give it a try, and he tried it 2 times. First time it was more stuttery than the original Kwin, according to Artherin, and the second time it just core dumped.
He does not believe in folders, does he?
There are plenty of folders, but there are also plenty of files. No, it's apparently Artherin didn't have a very good experience with it, and if you read the description, basically the creator is saying, in order to get rid of the like the stutteriness and the weird latency that you get between the mouse cursor and say you're dragging a window around, there is one workaround, which is to basically tell Kwin that your monitor is a 200 hertz monitor and increase the maximum FPS limit to 200. But that actually makes input latency a little bit worse. Not so much on the inputs and what you're doing, but on the responsiveness of Kwin itself.
So you just get like the laggy, like
Yes.
That's better than Wayland. Do you know what happens on Wayland?
What?
It stops.
Yes.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fix that he suggests, and that's part of the reason why he forked everything and is letting everyone test it, is basically introducing a different kind of sync to VBlank. to synchronize everything to the latency that your inputs already have. If you have a USB mouse or a USB keyboard, you're looking at the very least like 100 hertz. So about a millisecond of latency on that. And once everything goes through and it's pushed out to your monitor, you're looking at, after going through the latency on all the other buses and being presented to you, you still have like 60 hertz on your monitor. So that's another 16.6 milliseconds to account for. And what he does is basically sync everything. So where the mouse cursor is where the animation or the window dragging or whatever else should be displayed. Now, if you've ever dealt with VSync on a video
I was
game...
about to say, during this explanation, I've installed XFC4 like 9 times.
Yes. If you've ever played a video game, you know that introducing VSync is not exactly the best way to lower latency. In fact, it may actually make input latency worse. And Kwin has a lot of issues. Like, a lot of issues. Specifically compositing, and that's at the core of the issue here. And random disappearance of icons in the tray if, say, you turn on a Bluetooth controller. They fixed that now, but it was a thing for a while. So, basically, what I'd say is disable Kwin compositing comletely and use Compton or XCompMGR instead, because those are better compositors than Kwin compositing will ever be.
Yes.
Kwin's its own thing, man. I've personally never played with it, but when I hear Kwin, I'm thinking 97.7 FM. People out in Cali will get that one. I was reading up on it just for this. I know what it is conceptually. And they say the number one feature of Kwin, as listed at userbase.kde.org, is stable and reliable.
No, it isn't.
Number one, the first feature. I figure that works the same way people think ingredients work. That's not how they actually work, but how you think that should work. But it's not 100%. I've learned from Kwin that it can be a dodgy experience through Pedro, and Pedro's determined, I'm still going to use it. More power to you. But Tilde Arrow, the creator of this repo, is trying to do something about it. And I say good work on that. He does point out, like KDE itself, it's not recommended for low-end systems. It's just not.
Yeah.
If anyone tries to sell you that bill of goods, just tell them no. And
no, GNOME and KDE do not rhyme with low-end systems.
No.
Speaking of GNOME, look at that segue, ladies and gentlemen. Christopher Davis, kind of new to GNOME, has written a little bit in the GNOME blog about the basics of what it takes to get GNOME out. And he's like, I've been working with the GNOME community for a little under a year and a half now. And he just wants to cover, the tooling, how apps are created, and how changes happen across the ecosystem, which is really good, man. Pedro, you had some thoughts on this.
Oh yeah,
I guess we should point. He talks about the release cycles, feature freezes and code freezes, app maintaining, and everything else. Now, let's get Pedro's hot take. GNOME's biggest fan.
Yes, clearly myself. This is going to be a series of articles, as he says, and he starts out by saying, "I've been working in the GNOME community for a little under a year and a half now. Oh, sweet innocence, may you never be corrupted." Because, for one, I hope that this particular series of articles actually includes a detailed description of the mental gymnastics that birthed GNOME 3. Yes, that's right, yes. Or maybe, since, GTK4 is a thing and GNOME 4 will be soon to follow, I hope we'll get an inside view of whatever mind-boggling decision or decisions to actually take place when developing GNOME 4. Yes. I really hope... call it catharsis? I really hope that's a thing we get to... I was just trying
to reflect your inner child when you think about GNOME. You're just like, boom, you sit down and you pick up a haterade and you're like, okay, let's talk about GNOME. Check it out, man. I mean, Chris throws it down like a nice TLDR at the end. He's like, it's community individuals, their own motivations, visions for everything, all the projects at their best. And, when you boil down that statement, it's like if a project developer, somebody working X or Y, it's not going to fix a bug that you want or implement a feature that you want. This is the GNOME blog, and this is their polite way of saying, don't bug us about it. We're not their boss. You don't go narc on them. There's nothing we can do. This is people working on their own time to develop this. So I think it's a good message.
And then GNOME 3 is born.
Yeah.
Hang on, Pedro. Say that one more time.
GNOME 3 sucks. It sucks. Wah. It sucks.
Why don't you just go back and kiss K-Win again? Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm running K-Win right now with Compton, but I'm running K-Win right now. Because K-Win compositing sucks.
Oh, man. Okay, LVFS.
Yeah. So Richard Hughes is asking the Linux community for our help and a simple way to contribute to the LVFS that will only take a few minutes of your time. He is working on a new feature for the Linux vendor firmware service that will include human-readable descriptions of each module loaded by the UEFI instead of just the high...
Really?
Yes. Just the hype. So basically, LVFS, if you don't know, it's a teeny tiny little tool that allows you to upgrade the firmware and manage all of the tools that have open firmware going on in the world of Linux. There was a bit of a spat between them and System 76 a while back. So System 76 are now doing their own thing, but LVFS has actually gotten a lot of support from a lot of big companies. And as such, and as it is a project that the GNOME people are very keen on developing, they're basically saying, if you don't know anything about, programming, go, if you have a device that you'd like to see support for, because there is an updated version of the firmware and you don't want to have to install Windows to get it up and running. Just Google it. Just do some ls USB, find out what the controller is, do some Googling, paste that into the descriptions for each of the modules, and that will help a great deal, because then the GNOME team can go to the hardware developers themselves, and it's like, okay, this is the hardware, this is the firmware, we can serve this to you now. Jill, go on.
Oh, yeah. Thank you very much, Pedro, for helping during that. So with an easy Google and DuckDuckGo search, I contributed to Richard Hughes's UEFI modules description Google Doc about the actually his Realtek PXE module that needed some description. And there are hundreds in there, and they're easy to find the descriptions for. Some of them are, some of them aren't. There are ones that I tried a few that we couldn't come up with any searches for. So some of them are just him guessing. But anyways, it doesn't take up very much time. I spent actually probably about 45 minutes doing it, because I did several of them.
That's pretty neat.
That was really cool.
Yeah, if you have the time, that is valuable information that people don't think about it until you need it. So
yeah, you need the research done to figure out exactly what it is so you can actually have at and implement it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you get a minute, a link to that will be in the show notes. You can go check it out along with everything else. But we have two conflicting stories.
Yes, we do. Which doesn't really happen very often. And this one, the first one comes from the Linux Journal, and it's, alarmist clickbaity article title aside, there is a bit of a point here. So the article is titled, "We Need to Save What Made Linux and FOSS Possible." It's like, how more melodramatic can you make it? But the article itself, and Jill will get into the nitty-gritty of it, actually does have a point, because if you work, especially in like any type of government job like I do, you're dealing with a heavily proprietary environment all the damn time. It's actually, yeah, annoying
Language.
sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, the article actually goes into the whys of getting away from that proprietary system and ecosystem is very important and will actually benefit in the long run and the short run as well. If we're honest, it'll basically save the engineers' brains.
Yeah, so Doc Searles, who is the editor-in-chief of the Linux Journal, who wrote this article, writes, "We collaborate inside proprietary environments such as Slack and Google Hangouts." Yeah, this is true for the most part, although I'm actually seeing a lot of companies moving to open source options, such as Rocket Chat and Mattermost, because of the issues with Skype and Google Hangouts may be deprecated soon, but they'll have an alternative for that, I'm sure. But anyways, Doc Searles later in the article states, with concern, one might even argue that most of the Linux deployed in the world today is embedded inside proprietary and closed devices. Yeah, and after reading this article several times, and seeing actually Lawrence Lessig, Cory Doctorow, and Vince Cerf speak about these concerns at recent Linux conventions, I understand that we need to keep the innovation and freedom of general purpose computing and Linux and open source software alive, despite living in a containerized world. Yes, it's very, very true.
Sorry, I had to take a break.
Yep.
I was installing Arch on Windows.
You can't do that now.
Yeah.
And it'll download the Linux kernel as well.
Strange times. But
Yes.
Linux, it's still a thing. It's still around. In fact,
Yeah.
2019 might be the year of the Linux on desktop. This is not a
Yeah.
repeat from
Hey.
ever, right?
Yes.
Time and memorial. Remember
Yeah.
when Linux was
Are
a
we
need of
still
saving?
doing this? Okay.
Everything runs
Yeah.
Linux, including Windows, man. That's just something Mike threw this, and it was like, yeah, okay. I thought it was a good balance out to Chromebooks, your mobile devices, desktop, laptops, Windows, 100%. It's in your TVs, it's in your cars, it's in your Teslas.
TiVos, VCRs back in the day. There's so much hardware, like home appliances out there running some kind of Linux that, yeah, I mean, the year of the Linux desktop as like the dominant desktop operating system will never happen.
No. Here's the thing. The ultimate goal is Linux desktop's going to sit around 1 or 3 until we can dumb it down enough to where a simpler person can use it.
But you don't really need to dumb it down. All Linux needs is the exact same thing that Microsoft has, which is a massive marketing company throwing money at OEMs to say, pre-install this on your laptops.
Don't talk down to me, Pedro. I'm a Windows desktop expert. I click the next button very well, and I find Linux confusing.
I'm a Linux desktop system administrator, and I'm hoping to move to the infrastructure team managing Windows servers.
I've heard the
Yeah,
legends,
I clicked
Pedro.
next real
I've heard
good.
the legends. Your type can click 2 next buttons at one time.
Freaking Active Directory makes my blood boil. But hey,
You know,
at least it's
Yeah.
better than SharePoint.
Completely on the side jack on that, man. My friend is active. He runs a whole segment at University of Georgia, and I was in his office looking at that. And I said, nope, that was my. She's like,
Yeah, no.
yeah,
It's,
no.
it's far more complicated than it has any business being, but it's a thing.
Yeah.
Hey, something that makes us say, oh, yes, is the
Yeah.
122 beautiful party patrons making our show possible live, commercial free, giving in that spirit that is Linux. And we like to
Yeah.
give you some stuff back. You get a custom RSS feed for a show, a secret special show that only super cool people can listen to. It's our production meeting every week if you want to know what's going on behind the scenes, and access to the uncut business, what we do. And that's the Preepy Super Shows. And you let us do this show and our Saturday show and our Tuesday streams and our Thursday streams where, we might catch that wandering Windows user. They'll be like, wait a minute, you're doing all this on Linux. Like, yes, one of us.
Come on.
Right?
Yes.
That'll be the thing. Definitely want to thank everybody supporting us like that. We got a store if you want to confuse people with our merch. Hell, Alex, that'll throw them off. Maybe a chair. What's that mean? I don't know. I'm not going to tell you. And finally, we got some hardware. We get a little shopping list for stuff for the studio. Exciting things like network cables, but that also helps us out. And all the good people who have done that in the past end up on Frank's wall. He'll show up in the credits. I took a new picture of him. He is so sexy.
Oh, cool.
All right. Oh, and access to our Discord. Come hang out with us. We're weird in there like 6 days a week. We have IRC. We don't like doing stuff behind the paywall, so you can always join in for that for free. But we kind of got a little, Campagan Club where we can be weird and like semi-private. It's kind of fun.
Very semi.
Cool, Pedro. What does this mean?
This means we're about to put some pizza in our mouth. No, we're talking about the Raspberry Pi because it's the slice of pie. Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. Dun, dun,
So,
dun.
actually, a website that I'm a big fan of, Notebook Check. Jill, what's this about?
Yeah. So this is the RPI Relay, which is an expansion board or hat for the Raspberry Pi that will allow you to use a Raspberry Pi A+, B+, 2B, 3B, and 3B+ to control your home appliances. And what's really cool is this hat can handle the high voltages and currents that home appliances require. And it's actually only $18.99, a much cheaper option for smart home automation than the other alternatives.
Oh,
It's
so
really cool.
those 3 green things there are just straight up fuses.
Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
I'm tempted to order this because on Amazon, $92.74 for installation.
Yeah, Amazon does that. If you go look at an SSD, it's like...
Pedro, I want to take them up on this one, though.
Yeah, that
No,
is
but it's
that
like
was
a
cool.
SATA SSD, and it's like, oh, you can buy this SATA SSD. It's like 120 gigs for, I don't know, 18 pounds. And you can pay for the expert installation, which is another 50 pounds on top of that.
Yeah.
Well,
Like, really?
with this, it's the morbid curiosity because I don't even know what I would do with the hat with a relay switch. I mean, I could come up with something, but yeah.
See, the expert installation is dude walks up to your place, you give him the Raspberry Pi, and he goes like this. Done. That's your $90 right there.
I'd have to put it on a string and like make him chase it for a little bit or something.
Yeah.
I'd have to get my money. Okay, this is neat because this is something for the first time. We've talked about what's coming up next a billion times, but this is something you might actually carry around. It has,
Yeah.
I would say, a pretty reasonable TSA acceptance factor.
Yes, it does.
yes.
You'll probably want to sand down those 3D printed parts a bit more and put a little clear coat on it to hide them, but it's like, the holy grail. It's the laptop that fits in your pocket that's built on the Raspberry Pi. And it comes from hyperglitch.com.
Okay,
And
yeah, I know. I just realized. I was like, wow, even with the JavaScript enabled. This
yeah, no,
thing
that's
is-
it.
Yeah,
That's the
oof,
website.
oof.
Yeah.
And the Spartanness of the website aside, they actually give you everything that you need, like detailed instructions, the software, and a little bit on how to do the connections for the stuff and the battery that you're looking for to set up your own teeny tiny Raspberry Pi portable
I'm looking
computer.
at the wiring on the back. And okay, speaking of uses of IDE cables,
Yes.
Yeah,
We've
I mean,
all been
you're
there.
going to have to be dealing with a very constrained space
this
with a lot of wires.
now
Yeah.
this is me breaking out my etchant tank and Eagle and making a PCB because I've been here, and that's not that's getting taken apart a lot. That's all that's happening.
Mhm.
Yeah. But they do say that the Raspberry Pi itself, you can take it out and plug it back in with minimal friction. It's just everything
Or do you
else
think-
that attaches.
Could I tape it to my face?
Yes.
Could,
Yeah.
but that screen is probably not high resolution enough for you to have a good experience
At
with
this
that.
price, I could get two.
yeah. Then at that point, if you could get X to sync between the two, yeah, you're fine.
But
Go ahead.
But look at that. Look at the finished product. That's something you could open in public and be like,
That's
yeah.
amazing. I
Yeah, it's
kind of
awesome.
want one.
Yeah. Aw. I've
Yeah,
always
no,
been on the
that
lookout
needs
for
to
the
be a
world's smallest
thing.
laptop.
Yeah.
Yeah, even though I couldn't read it, I have to bring a magnifier with me.
Oh, get one of those Game Boy magnifiers that you'd like
Yeah.
mount on top. Yeah.
That's the next project right there is the speakers and then just get outrageous with it. That looks really cool. I'm digging
Yeah.
that. I like everything right up to the point of the spaghetti nightmare of wiring. A, because I'm rubbish at soldering, but
Mhm.
B, I'm also rubbish at, no, I'd rather make a board for that. But cool project, do it yourself. Maybe you make something cool, or you got an idea like that and you want to tell us about it. You got a question, thoughts, hints, allegations, something better left unsaid. While you can leave a comment on YouTube, we don't immediately take that as you want it read on the show. So we've come up with this brand new revolutionary idea for you to contact us. Pedro?
Yeah, it's who'd ever
Groundbreaking.
think that if you
Yes.
created your own contact form on your very own website, that people would realize, oh, okay, maybe this is the one that they actually read. And as it turns out, that is actually the case. So if you go to linuxgamecast.com and you hit the contact button, there's a form. Make sure to pick LWDW to send feedback to this very show, where we will be happy to feature your comment. If you want to send some hate mail for that Saturday show, what we do, you can. You can ask Jordan for relationship advice, or if you're a game developer, make sure to include 3 keys, but that's for the other show, so I won't tire you with that particular
Hey,
spiel.
maybe, for like whatever reason, maybe you're Black Magic and want us to send us 3 dongles for DaVinci Resolve.
Oh,
Include 3.
nice. Yeah. I could use one of those. Yes.
And I'll be back next week and be like, thanks for sending 1.
We do get a lot of that from game developers.
Oh, it's like,
Yeah.
but could you just play it anyway and talk? It's like, wait, well, there's 3 people to. Never mind. Okay, up first.
Up first, terminals.
Yeah.
Okay, so Zoe has been on a quest to find the perfect distro for her. And recently, she's been looking at various fancy terminal emulators to replace the simple but slightly underfeatured SD Simple Terminal by Suckless. I was curious what your favorite terminal emulators are, or if you've seen any interesting ones about. Thanks. Terminator.
Yeah.
Just use Terminator. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pedro, you're missing
My-
the point. You're missing the point, bro. All right.
Oh, you want the fancy stuff.
Yeah,
sorry.
this isn't about having a functional terminal. This is about whiz-bang fluffy BS.
Then in that case, I don't know. I just use Terminator. It does everything I
Aw.
needed to.
This is a delicate balancing act because you can get something that's whiz-bang sparkly cowboy boot, but then a lot of times you're like, I can't really use this. It's too much. So you got to find that balance between, does it look all right and can I still get it done? Like me, it's like cold pizza and sex and all that. As long as I have a terminal, I'm okay. You know,
I'm imagining Ven eating pizza. It's like, ooh, terminal.
Listen, man, if I could catch it, I would eat it. Okay.
Aw.
The GNOME terminal's fine. I use XFCE terminal. I use just TTY, Control Alt F2. That's a terminal. You know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me it's Terminator because it has all the tmux functionality built in. So you could just
Yeah.
right click, split it, done.
Well, I was thinking about, I remember Strider was like, oh, check out cool retro term. And I was like, let's see, apt install 70, meant no. I'm not downloading 70 megs for a terminal, man. That defeats
Aw.
the point.
Well, Zoe, my go-to terminal is still the classic Xterm, but I create a .x resources config with lots of settings at startup, including a much larger font size.
Oh yeah, because the font on that is like
yeah.
9.
I
9
can't
points.
even use it. I have to do X resources on every computer, just so I can even read the terminal, the X term. But I also love eTerm, the Enlightenment terminal emulator, which has always been one of my favorites, and it's really pretty. And you can do
Oh
lots
yeah,
of
that one has a lot of
customizations on it.
effects.
Enlightenment's
Yes.
not bad at all. I
Yeah.
know Tyrion just brought up console. Console's great, right? Until you realize, like, wait a minute, I accidentally got KDE on this box. Oops. It's a good reminder.
Yeah.
It's like all of the kitty dependencies.
Yeah.
And yeah, I also like Terminix because you can use the have 4 terminals up at once, and that's really convenient when you need to get a lot of work done. And I actually
Terminator
do use,
lets you have as
Yeah.
many as your monitor resolution will allow. Just saying.
That's very true, very true. And cool retro term because I enjoy it. I sometimes just go to it just because I like the look of it, and we've talked about it extensively here on LWW. So
We.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't need GLX compositing in my terminal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. You run KDE, man, so
I do, but again, I don't need an entire GLX context dedicated to
I know. You have,
terminal.
You have KDE installed. You don't have the resources left.
I need all those resources, yes.
I'm just thinking. I love KDE. Okay. Last but not least, I think this question's geared at Pedro.
Mr. B. See, clearly, it's geared at me. So, have you gotten a Microsoft? No, microphone to work on Resolve for
Freudian
Linux?
operating system.
Yes. I have tried it on Ubuntu and Manjaro with no luck. Does not allow audio recording to Resolve. So this is very much a comment on the DaVinci Resolve video what Ven made recently. And Ven,
What?
did you get microphone audio working in Resolve?
You know, I'm going to have to put it to you like this, Pedro. I never even applied thought to it because why would you need a microphone to work in a nonlinear video editor?
I guess narration recorded directly on the editor, so it saves you from having to, I don't know, start up. Oh, dinosaur. Start up the.
Get on the floor.
Start up the Audacity or anything that'll let you record some audio and then import that over, which that is the reasonable thing. And why would you be reasonable on the internet, Ven? You should know better at this point.
Here's the thing. Pro tip from Old Man Ben is 100%. Use a nonlinear video editor for editing video. Do your audio work in... I know you're like, well, DaVinci Resolve has the audio thing. It's not for recording, you know? Even KDE in Live is like, hey, we can do your webcam. Don't. As soon as you start messing around with that, there's a direct line I can draw from that to it crashes a lot. Yeah, it does.
Record separately first.
Yeah, record, then bring your media in there. Get your media baked. Use the right tools for the right job. All right. I think that is going to do it. We're going to roll out of here. Maybe get some audio going and check those credits.
Oh, yes.
Oh, snap.
Oh, you promised a new picture of Frank.
Give me a minute. Jeez.
I'm sorry. I've been not seeing Frank's. Hey, there it is.
What? Where's your Frank at? Right there, Pedro.
Yes.
There's your Frank being all Francophile. All the beautiful people on the fine, upstanding citizens, because that's what it stands for, you dirty-minded individuals. Well. There's one spot left. 2.0.
And then we'll need the fine, upstanding Cannibal Wall 3.0. Or 2.1. It's just some stapled bit of cardboard below it.
Right.
Thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Bye.
Say bye, Jill.
Jill, how dare you?
Jeez.
Come on. I know your camera's not working, but come on.
I'm just gonna reboot this box.
Okay.
We got lucky. I wasn't entirely sure when I held down the power button that I had the right box, but I was committed. I was like, might be doing a solo show for a minute. Yeah.
Oh, look at that Dell logo. I see that every day at work.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, turn on your laptop, Dell. Oh, turn on your XPS, Dell.
Dude.
Give it a second, Jill. It's rebooting.
Nah. Dun, dun.
Wow.
What?
2 notifications at once.
Ooh. I messed up, man. I linked the texting to Hangouts.
That's not been a thing for a long time.
Well, it gave me, it's going to be a thing because it gave me a notification. It was like, hey, let's send that to your Hangouts. Your Hangouts to text. It was an option in Google, man. It popped up and I'm like, okay, whatever. So now I get the Hangout message when I get a text, which is the universal sound if something's wrong.
It's like, oh God, what happened?
Right? I'm like, uh-oh, something's broke. It's either you or Jordan. I'm like, oh, right.
XFC, look at all the gray.
Ah. Yeah.
There's a flag you can add to the desktop file to stop it doing that.
Oh, God.
Apparently, Sorceress is not in the credits.
You should probably tell Vin that.
Yeah.
I heard he could make those changes.
Oh. Thank you, Arthur. Yeah, stress. So, did you guys get through the credits too?
Yeah.
Okay.
We may or may not have implied that you had said something really nasty.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no! No!
But I guess you'll have to watch that when,
Yeah.
you know, Ven's done chewing through everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, part 2 of the job's done. Let me do that. And there. I just plug Linda in. I put Sorcerer 0. I don't know. I just pulled this from a text file. I don't know why it wasn't generating. All right. Now, back to Cadence. Oh, bonus soda.
Bonus soda? Are you hiding like 30 secret levels in there somewhere?
Clean jacklog.
Nice. What's the lowest we'd ever gotten up until now? Like 2?
X runs total?
Yeah.
Like doing a show? Oh, I don't know. I mean, yeah, somewhere between 2 and 15, 20, something like that. But
Yeah.
a lot of those you can't really count because you count real X runs in Audor. Audor's like, yo, that was an audio skip, as opposed to like, oh, I didn't have a graph resync.
Mhm.
Just at the nanosecond I requested it, which is Jack. Jack's like, Jack's like people who watch shows on the internet. When the slightest little thing goes wrong, they panic. That's Jack. That's like dealing with that. But considering we didn't have any runs and we're running 2 Jacks now,
Yeah.
a master-slave system.
Cool.
Which I only worry about like when I adjust the faders, because the bandwidth usage between this box, it goes through the router for the graphics. It goes
Yes.
Well, the show's over, Jill, so I'm sure your internet and everything here is just going to work perfectly from now on.
Yeah.
Now
This is
it's
the
fine.
worst that's ever happened.
Oh, no, it's
and-
not. Nuh-uh.
Well, yeah, no, it's been. That's true. Yeah.
I mean, we've
It's
had to
been
wait
a long
like
time.
45 minutes before your internet came back good enough to...
Oh yeah. That's right. When the
'Cause we were just getting ready to do
Yeah.
it. I was like, nope.
Yeah, no, I'm just glad it's not me for once.
Yeah, I
Because
know.
I'm usually the
it's
one who
pain-
gets
Yeah.
bitten. Yeah.
I've seen it happen to you so many times, and
Yeah.
this- so for me, I guess it was 3 times during the show.
I just kept refreshing. Like, all right.
Yeah.
So we're back to, I mean, it didn't really break up the show,
Okay.
fortunately. You know, as much as I genuinely dislike not having everything as like a monolithic box.
Mhm.
Like, ooh, one thing to cut on, one thing to deal with, one thing to war with. Splitting,
One point of failure.
yeah. However, when that one thing works, as opposed to, oh, look, 5 points of failure.
Yeah.
But being able to take these boxes down during a show and it not breaking anything,
Yeah, that is cool.
that's worth the hassle and the extra hardware and the cost to do it. That
Yeah.
alone, you know. Pedro always has a look of shock and surprise. Has Nori's sister gone back home yet?
Yeah. She was here all of last
Did
week.
she had enough hanging out with the olds?
Yeah. Actually, she was really sad. It's like, I don't want to go back. I don't want to. It's like, yeah, but you still need to finish university, then you can come back.
Oh,
yeah.
good.
Yeah, she's doing a graphic design
I don't know if
course.
I'd be making her promises like that. I'm just saying.
It was an exhausting week. Yes, for me.
Yeah.
Nori loved it. Her sister loved it. So it's like, okay, I could take 1 week of having 0 free times. It's fine.
Oh, I was talking about the fact of like actually being able to come back.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
there's
that
too.
thing, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
They postponed more talks until June.
Yeah, they kicked it down the road just a bit again. This is not a repeat from the time or the time before that.
No, this is not a repeat from 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 3 times already. Yeah, no. Just
Yes, you're back, Willie. Willie, my boy.
Willie!
Oh, it's back. Yes.
Steambot Willie!
Ooh, Hellblades, $12. 12 pounds. That's half off. Go pick that up if you haven't played it. You're only gonna play it once, but go for it.
Yeah. Okay.
Rage 2
Oh,
is
yeah, that's a good
40
price.
quid. Jeez, what's that? That's a $60 game.
Yeah.
And I don't even know what the druid thing is.
Shovel Knight, if you don't have it and you like the platformers,
Mm-hmm.
probably worth a pickup.
Yep.
Good day, Popey.
Hey, Popey.
What's the one at the top?
Mordhau. It's, imagine Verdun, but in medieval times. Or,
Verdun
that
was
other
pretty
game.
medieval, man.
No, even more medieval than that. The one that we threw chairs at a couple of weeks ago, a month ago.
That's a blur after 6 years, man.
What's it called? Yes, similar to Chivalry, but with a bunch of people and a massive map.
See, you could have had me. I was like, oh, it's like medieval warfare, chivalry, but alternate timeline. They'd already invented chainsaws.
No. There was someone posted, I think it was Artherin or Lwdw, one of them two. They're always saying things. Posted the video of someone playing the lute in Mordhau. That's the one. Playing the E1M1 theme.
Also,
Yeah.
I retract what I said about Audacity working with Jack. I was only half right.
Okay. What's the half that doesn't work?
The way it does it is you can open up Audacity. It won't spawn a Jack sync, but when you hit record, it YOLO connects to your first two inputs. So just make sure your first two inputs are like what you want recorded.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea how to.
An option to tweak that at all?
Yeah.
Well, I could drag it around in the matrix,
Yeah.
like manually.
Because there are a few games that do that. They, as soon as you like Alt Tab out of it, the audio sync is just gone. It's like, I just wanted to change the device. Why do you keep doing this? So basically, that's the point where I have to SSH in and use Pavu control while the game is still in focus on this box. It's like, okay, there we go.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's kind of how it looks. If you look in the grid,
Yeah.
there's one that says port audio. And when you click record, it'll snap capture 1 and 2 directly. It'll just suck it
Oh.
up. Like,
Nice.
Okay.
just a little YOLO. Have you ever had Audacity at no? It's very vague, Linda, but I don't... What do you mean?
Add sounds?
Like, you go back and listen, and it's like, yo, man, there's a special at the grocery store. Chicken is half price. You're like, whoa, Audacity,
It's like-
thanks.
Audacity, free and open source software.
It really spanks the penguin's ass.
Yep.
We've had Audacity on one version at whispery sounds. No. Yeah, that's different computers. That's the difference there.
What microphone were you using, Linda? Was it like 3.5 mil going in through the 3.5 mil mic jack, or USB? Because I had a laptop that, well, I did the show on that particular laptop for many, many years. If
Yeah.
you plugged in the microphone to the 3.5 mil jack, it was crackly. It was
If you
crackly
got a good
all the damn
DAC,
time.
If you want to do anything, like if you ever have like just isolation, you want to get rid of any hum or anything like that, and you have a laptop and you got a good USB DAC, take your laptop, take it off the mains, and let it run on battery. Let it run on straight DC, where you won't have any issues with round loops or anything like that. That's one of the quietest recording experiences you can set up.
Yeah.
Which is a good way to do it. This jack gets very interesting because, like, the whole reason this exists for high-end audio for pro recording is so you can have all the computers, like, in another building.
You stopped that sentence halfway through, Linda.
Listen, man. Use your imagination. All right, in my version, Stay Puft Marshmallow Man makes a return. But he's
But
voiced
it's a
by the
Blue
Kool-Aid
Yeti
Man.
USB. Okay. A Blue Yeti USB. So you shouldn't be getting like any weird gremlins unless your USB connection is crap.
USB is digital, it works or it don't.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, a Yeti's a condenser mic too,
Yeah.
so it's gonna pick up everything like Pedro's mic.
Oh yes.
Oh, I have you gated.
I wasn't going to shout at the microphone.
That's if you look at that and you'll see the stack of that's the software, the filters, and the plugins that we use. But we have hardware before it gets to that. Very expensive technical hardware. It's like $45. You can buy a gate compressor. You get 4 of them. They're like $10 a piece when you think about it.
Yeah.
They might be 20 years old, but they get the job done. Jill has one.
Yeah, Sorceress, it's my Giggletron, now 9,000.
Don't worry, Jill. We'll get it to the point one day where you'll be so pro you won't need it.
Yes. Pedro's laughing.
Considering how long Jordan's been doing this,
Hmm?
and he still clips massively.
Jordan's gotten a lot better.
I remember, what was it, the Vermintide stream. It's like, oh, come on, Jordan, whenever you talk, the audio clips.
Well, we get comfortable talking to each other through the system that I've stuck together. Which,
Yeah, but if we don't have your filter going on, it's like, oh crap, okay.
Yeah.
being able to maintain, because I know, like, what I'm doing, like, I'm looking like this because, not because I was like, oh man, I look really hot in profile. It's because I can see everyone's volume meters, including my own.
Yeah.
And when I'm talking, I'm going to be right at, on a K20 meter, I'm going to be right at unity, right at naught. What mics do you use? I use a D2. GA, these aren't too bad. They're, right around $300.
Yeah,
Pedro's got
I
the
have the
ultimate
T Brown
Memorial.
Memorial mic, which is the Audio Technica AT2020.
podcasting standard, baby.
Yeah.
Except
Oh,
no
yeah.
substitute.
It's like you watch videos on the internet. It's like you want a good microphone that's either USB or XLR and won't set you back a lot of money.
Mhm.
This one.
That works, man. I mean, if you
Yeah.
need a microphone for podcasting and a weapon for home invasion,
Oh yeah, you can
Yes.
throw this at someone, crack their skull, and use it
you could
immediately.
wreck someone and plug it
Yeah,
back in.
you
You're like, I'm good.
And Sorceress, I have the equivalent of the AT2020, but it's the dynamic mic version. And mine is going through a Behringer preamp, which goes to my limiter compressor, and then it goes down to a Behringer that converts it. It's a DAC that converts it into USB.
But you don't need a fancy mic. I mean,
Yeah.
It's not about how you say. We see a lot of people like, I'm going to start a show, and I've had these questions asked, and I was like, well, step one, like the first 4.5, 5 years, don't spend any money. Do it as cheaply as possible, which, you know, like up until very recently, like thanks to Patreon, I mean, effectively everything we did, I just paid for. But what else? Having a good time.
And there goes Jill again. Okay, so much for that internet working right now that the show's done.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah, I will check my logs to see if it is the internet or is it just Jitsi being.
It's condenser. Well, I mean, that's what a condenser mic's supposed to do, is pick up everything.
Yeah, like anything that hits the cardioid gets recorded.
But you can get away with a, you know, you can set up a noise. Here's the whole thing. I mean, if you look again at like that screenshot, the filter, like CAF plugins are open source, and you can set up your own noise gate. You can do your own compressor. But that's heavy. That's an expensive thing to do. And when I say that, not price-wise, CPU-wise. It's a lot of processing. Now, if you're just doing it on one channel, you can probably get away with it. If you're doing it on 10, a little different.
Yeah, real-time audio processing. Not real-time as in, you know, real-time kernel, but in real time as it's happening. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, that's not so bad. But doing it live?
Streaming on top of that.
With the video?
Yeah. Streaming and then recording. It's like, oh, all of a sudden that one audio stream just became 3.
Well, we only have... We have me, Jordan, you, Discord, and left and right. So 6 audio channels, and then we have mix minus for you, Jordan, Jill, and the double J box is what I call it. Discord, my monitoring, and do we count digital out now? Because we're doing that over Ethernet. So, yeah, we're only processing 13 channels of audio.
13 channels. So 13 channels of just, you know, going into the box. And then
let's just go back to doing it on Skype.
And then you have the stream, which basically doubles the overhead. And then you're recording for the segments, so triple.
That's fun, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
The cool thing is let, at least on my perspective, anytime, like when I, like from Sunday until today, with like learning about NetJack and learning that there's no documentation for this. And it's like, oh, this is one of those projects.
Yeah.
The differences between Jack 1 and NetJack, you know, which is, I'll get into that later. I'm going to be able to make a video. And I'll be able to make, I'll type things on the internet to go under that video and put it on a web zone. So the next time somebody's out there, they'll go, oh, that's how I do this. And then you'll get asked
for technical support on the YouTube comments.
That's great. I know. Listen, man. I know how to tap that ignore button, fam. Listen, if you're like reasonably polite and cordial, and you're like, "Hey, man, I'm having it." If that's how you come at it, we're like, "Hey, I can't quite figure this out. This is what I'm trying to do," as opposed to, "I'm doing this and this doesn't work with this." I'm like, have fun with that. You know, I'm here to help, but I'm not tech support.
Yeah, no. At work, I don't mind if people just, I'm trying to do this and it doesn't work. That's cool. What's your call reference number again? Oh, you didn't log one. Go and do that, please.
Hang on. You're like, what's taking so long? Well, I'm trying to figure out the right key combination for eat a bag of dick. Yeah. One thing I want to see if I can buck Jordan into making is a video on, even on DigitalOcean or anything like that, setting up the container for streaming to Twitch and YouTube.
Yeah.
Because it seems like, I don't know, maybe the guys at PC Per can't figure out how to do that. Maybe they give him a little video and be like, hey, go watch this.
Yes.
It's like, hey, Jim, there you go.
Well, I like helping people out like that, man. Because you want more people doing this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is the kind of content that if I wasn't in it, I'd be watching it all the damn time. So it's like, yeah, more please. I will watch PC Per, even though there have been a bit, and they've been on unsteady ground lately, but
They're
I hope that
restructuring. The hardest part about PC
Yeah.
Per is figuring out what day it comes on. Or if it comes on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
can be a
you,
bit dodgy.
you need to be a bit regular about it.
Also, stick to YouTube videos. Don't start an audio podcast. That gets expensive. You expect 10 people to watch it ever or listen? Talk to Strider. He got some of those bandwidth bills. He's like, what? I'm like, oh, you sweet summer child. You have no idea.
Oh, is that Lutris is hosting a bunch of stuff on its own servers, including a couple of games that Uncle Nintendo isn't too happy about? Yeah.
Well, that's how you know Lutris isn't mainstream yet. Nintendo waits for something to become mainstream before going after it. They're like, oh, too many people have heard of that. Attack it.
Yeah. Oh, actually, speaking of Lutris, I've mentioned before that I've been like swapping emails back and forth with Ross Scott. If you don't know him, he's the voice behind
yeah.
Freeman's Mind.
Yeah.
And basically now he sent an email because he's been asking for like people that have Linux experts, as he calls them.
I'm just going to go ahead and say this. I know for a fact that you've been talking about talking to him for over a year.
Yeah. And I got an email a couple of days ago. It's like, okay, so I've been getting a lot of conflicting information from the people who use Linux and reply to my thing.
Well, didn't he
So-
ask on like Linux_gaming? I was like, ooh.
It wasn't him specifically. It was one of the people that he was talking to. And it is basically, okay, I've kind of narrowed it down to the four of you guys. So here's a link. Create an account. It's my forum. Discuss, please. These are the issues. This is what I need to sort out.
Do my research for me? Oh, man. then I would have been like, and well, that's the last I talked to him.
Yeah, he's already done a lot of the research. Now it's just the actual issues that he's been running into. One of them is the fact that Wine is doing some weird adaptive VSync, which basically doesn't let him get an accurate performance reading on the FPS he's getting and everything else, because everything is VSynced. Unless it drops below 60, at which point it goes at whatever the game is performing at.
Mm-hmm.
So he's been trying to work around that because he wants to remove that frame rate cap. And the second issue is the lack of a way to force anti-aliasing. You can do it with the NVIDIA drivers. And
Buy a UHD monitor.
Yeah, and then just scale it down.
This is why you hire Vin to do stuff. You could spend hours and months. And it's like, just get a 4K monitor. You're done with it. You don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, but he's trying to use like, because NVIDIA actually lets you do that like forced anti-aliasing. Depending on your video card, you have different options. But those only work in some specific wine games, like very specific ones, and not even all of the native Linux games actually work. That doesn't necessarily work with them. So he's trying to find a way to force some anti-aliasing into older games, because he's big on game preservation and whatnot.
Better solution. Slightly out of prescription glasses.
Yeah, just lower your 1080p monitor down to 720p. There. Done.
What? It would work.
But yeah, that there's a bunch of issues. Actually, I haven't replied to the forum post yet. There's like all the other dudes have.
I gotta be
actually
honest
already
with you.
said their
I gotta
piece.
be 100% honest with you. That's not an issue. That's nitpicking.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I've been like, listen, if you want to talk about issues, we'll talk about issues. Maybe you want to, but if you're gonna like bring up nitpicking as issues, I don't want anything to do with this because that is going to get everyone else who's like, seriously, that's what, man, you, because then everyone who watches the video is like, you don't know what you're talking about.
He did say that once he's done the video, whatever that is, he will be happy to come on Linux Weekly Daily Wednesdays
For what?
to talk about it. Like an experience of someone who had really never used Linux to any significant degree before and using
Cool.
it to be able to play older games.
So, okay, so we'd bring him on the show not about gaming. Let's talk about gaming.
I mean, we can bring him on Linux Gamecast Weekly, but he did make a point about his schedule being a bit full, so like working hours. I guess we can do it beforehand and then just chop it in.
Maybe.
Oh, Neon Jason Evangelion.
We're definitely approaching the capacity. It just infinitely complicates, like, what we just discussed right there. Was like, what about then schedule? And it's like, that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Mm-hmm.
But I can only use Skype between the hours of and you have to be holding a tomato.
No, he's the kind of dude that you tell him, have you tried this?
tried
And
this?
he'll go and try it.
It's like, I'm using Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Where are you next to? Are you near your router? No, I'm at my neighbor's house using my Wi-Fi.
He lives in Poland. Wi-Fi doesn't, reach
Pedro,
that kind of
Pedro,
level
do you
there.
want feel like the third time to try to make a joke? Because that's what I'm trying to do.
No, he actually, like, all the emails we've been back and forth, he actually has a wired connection. It's not a very good internet connection, but it's there.
You can send emails.
Yeah. Can send emails, he can upload videos to YouTube. And it's, come on, it's dude behind Freeman's mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a funny show.
Was.
It could be if it put out episodes regularly.
Sometimes people get burnt out, man.
No, he's been going through a lot of stuff. He had a big move, and I'm guessing job in being an American living in Poland. He does, like, every month he does a talk with fans that I only catch on YouTube after the fact.
So what you do is at the end of the show is you hang around for another hour and talk to everyone. That's important. That's important to me because I have always like watched live shows and they're like, oh, shows are by click. Like, what? All right.
Yeah. No, our after showsins are important for us. Definitely. Not enough
Wow.
podcasts do it.
A lot of
Pre-shows
podcasts don't do
and
it
after
live.
Yeah, live, yeah. Or it's behind a paywall.
All right. Speaking of hanging out and talking to everyone, we're going to get out of here.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. It wasn't an hour, it was like 30 minutes, but so, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the nostalgia nerd replied to my tweet.
Oh, Poppy's blaming me.
It is 100%.
No.
So, what are you saying, Arthurian? Is that open to interpretation? What are you going for, man? How? That's a lot to drill down on. I don't. That was a Jeopardy question. I'd tap out, man. I don't know where you're going with that. Like, sorry, Alex, I lose. Remaining time on a live show. Yeah, listen. Just let it play out. You'll find out. Just let it roll. Just pretend. All right, beautiful people. We're going to bounce out of here. We will see you next week.
Indeed.
Love you
Bye-bye.
guys. Love you,
Bye-bye.
chat room. Bye bye.